Ian, do you want to do your housekeeping before we open the meeting, or toilets and exits and stuff like that? Did you want to do it? Oh, no.
That's all good. Lisa go first. I'm going to be here in this one. Oh, you've got it.
Still got it.
I'm still, I'm
Get rid of it and it comes back. Did you get a copy of the working group notes, the PowerPoint stuff? Yeah, me too. I just got mine.
Okay, morning delegates. Welcome to your evening meeting. Luckily, I didn't organise it on Mother's Day like I did last year. So, I have three apologies here: Havelock North Club, Manor Park Golf Club, and Tokomari Bay United Sports Club. Are there any more apologies from the floor?
Yes, Dave. John Rowe Corridor Club.
John Rowe.
And Kevin Benz from the Masterton Club. Sue Enzer from Club Vista.
Some are at the front, Dave, where people signed in. There's a few apologies there.
Yeah, oh, okay, yeah. All right, I move that apologies be accepted. I have a seconder. Don, all those in favour? Okay, welcome Terry Ray, President of Clubs New Zealand, come all the way down from Tokoroa this morning, going back tonight, correct?
Yeah.
And welcome Lucy, Operations Manager for Clubs New Zealand. And welcome Chris Bishop. Hopefully he's going to be here shortly. Okay, before we confirm the previous minutes, could everybody be upstanding, those who can, for a minute's silence of those who have passed away? Thank you, delegates. Confirmation of the previous minutes held at the Poroa Working Groups Club on Sunday the 14th of May 2023. Would someone like to move they are a true and correct record?
Yeah.
Tom Bateman, South Wairarapa. Seconder?
Steve Bound.
Steve Bound, Petone. Any matters arising from these minutes? I have one. In my report, you saw that Petone have bought the New Zealand TAB, and we were unsure of what this will mean for clubs. Terry, myself, and Lisa were part of a working group, which is an ongoing thing, and Larry, and we went to Auckland a couple of weeks ago, and they run us through all their proposals over the next 5 years. So I can say that it's going to mean some good improvements for clubs, and this is going to be an ongoing thing. We're going back up there in, I think it's October, to take any concerns to the people. I know there's quite a few at the moment from punters who are having a bit of trouble handling the new app and things like that, but eventually it'll all be bedded in, and Terry will give a fuller report backed up by Lisa later on. Any other matters from the previous minutes? Okay, moving on. We'll just rearrange the agenda a little bit.
No, Chris is here.
Oh, Chris is here. Oh, welcome, Chris. The Honourable Chris Bishop, National MP for Hutt South, Leader of the House, Minister for Housing, Infrastructure, RMA Reform and Sport and Recreation. Good God, what a number of portfolios that is. So thank you very much for giving up your precious time when you try to relax on a Sunday. And as soon as you've swallowed that, would you like to come up here? Yeah. Yes, please. Yep.
Morning, everyone. Morning, Dave, Terry. It's good to be here. Sorry, running a touch late. Just came over from Days Bay. Beautiful Hutt Valley day. For those of you, I see a few familiar faces. Those of you from outside the region, it's always like this in the Hutt Valley, so to speak. It's great to be here at the Petone Club. Look, I just thought I'd talk a bit about what the government's up to and our sort of plan for the months ahead. And we're going to take questions. Is that right? Yeah, take questions, whatever you like. So we have been in office now for 100 and something days. We lost track after the 100 days was up in March. So we're approaching our first budget, which will be delivered on May 30. And maybe if I just start with that, you'll all be feeling this, that it's pretty tough times out there for many people, economically and socially. And that's, I think, partly reflected in what happened in the election. And I know a lot of people are really impatient for progress and for fixing the economy. And it's not something that's going to be done straight away, because we've had a long period of slow growth, both productivity growth, economic growth, and we've inherited, frankly, a mess of a situation. If you just helicopter up a little bit, we've inherited a situation where the size of government has massively increased over the last 6 years. It's an 84% increase in government spending in the last 6 years, which is completely unsustainable. We've inherited a situation where there are 18,500 more public servants compared to 6 years ago. And look, I can safely say, as local MP here, where many public servants live, public servants do a great job. But ultimately, what we want are more nurses, doctors, midwives, police officers, corrections officers, people on the front line, rather than the back office. Take education, for example. Spending on education has gone up massively. We've got 2,500 more bureaucrats at the Ministry of Education, but the number of kids able to read and write has fallen. Can't even get kids to go to school. So the solutions to much of New Zealand's problems are not adding more bureaucracy. The solutions are in other areas. So 84% increase in government spending, massive increase in debt over the last 6 years, $95 billion increase in net debt. So we've now got $100 billion of debt sitting on the government's books. Government spends more every year. I want to talk into that.
Yeah, lovely, thanks.
Okay. Government spends more every year on interest and debt repayments than we do on health and education and police put together. So every dollar we spend on debt and interest repayments is a dollar we can't spend on health and education and things like that. So we've got high net debt, we've got big increase in government spending, and of course, more and more people paying more and more tax. And that's something we're determined to turn around. So we're in a recession, have been for a while, and of course high inflation as well. So inflation was 7% about 2 years ago. It's now down to 4%. But remember, the inflation's meant to be between 1 and 3%. That's the target. So the midpoint of that is 2. We're at 4. So we're double what inflation actually should be. And of course, the effect of that is the Reserve Bank has raised interest rates really high and really quickly. And that is crunching a lot of households. And you will all be feeling that. And the Reserve Bank is doing what it's meant to do, which is raise interest rates, take some money out of the economy, and just slow things down a bit. and that's deliberate to try and get inflation down. None of which makes it easy for families and for households, and you'll all be feeling that. But that is the effect of what the Reserve Bank is trying to do, is get inflation down. Because once inflation gets into the arteries of an economy, as we're now discovering, it's very hard to get rid of, and causes a lot of pain for a lot of people. So the budget is going to be, we've been putting it together over the last few weeks. You'll see the results at the end of May, so not that long to go now. It's a very, very tough budget because we're trying to balance a whole lot of things. We want to get debt under control and get the government's books back into order. That's a very, very important thing. That's ultimately why a lot of people voted for the coalition. We also want to deliver on our promises around tax cuts. You probably remember we campaigned on a pretty good package of rewarding low and middle income earners with more money in their back pocket. So you will see tax cuts in the budget. You will see a response to the debt situation. And you'll also see a deliberate shift from the back office to the front line. So we want to invest more in health and education, law and order, which is a major issue. So we've got a coalition commitment to deliver 500 more police. You will see some of that in the budget. And so you will see an overall reduction in the back office and a redirection, reprioritisation to the front line. Now that is quite tough for Wellington in particular, because the bulk of the public service is here in Wellington and many in the Hutt Valley. That is tough on people losing their jobs. So you'll see it in the media over the last 4 to 6 weeks. A lot of the government agencies doing reprioritisations, reducing staff in various different areas. That is necessary. Can't keep going on the track we were on. It was just unsustainable. But it doesn't mean it's not tough for a lot of families who, some people are going to lose their jobs and have done so. You saw unemployment just tick up the other day, up to 4.3%. So it's tough times. And I suppose the message I'd say to you is it's going to get worse before it gets better. This is always the way. It's going to be a rough year or two. But what we want to do is get to a situation next year where we can get interest rates starting to come down. And interest rates coming down will inject more confidence into the economy. And it will also mean that people's mortgages start to become more affordable. People start to have more money in their back pocket. The tax cuts will help with that as well. And the budget will also lay the foundations for growth, because the big problem in the New Zealand economy is we're just not growing as quickly as we should. If you grow at 3-4% a year on year for a sustained period of time, that makes us all wealthier and makes us all more prosperous. And so you will start to see the foundations for that in the budget. And there's a lot of work underway around things like productivity and red tape. David Seymour, who's the Minister of Regulation, is doing a lot of work on that. You'll start to see some of that come out of the budget. And you'll also see infrastructure be a major priority. So I have the responsibility of being the infrastructure minister. And, you know, we have a big infrastructure deficit in this country. Now, the number's kind of irrelevant, but 100 billion, 150 billion, economists will give you a different number, but we all know it's there. And you can see that with how hard it is to get around our cities, lack of public transport, renewable energy. You'll all see our infrastructure deficit on a daily basis. And so we've got a big job to do in investment and infrastructure, and you'll start to see that come out in the budget. The deficit is something that has to be tackled, and it's the result of sustained periods of underinvestment by governments in the past. I'm not being particularly party political about it because it affects both Labor and national administrations. But we have just not invested enough in our water infrastructure, which is why here in the Hutt Valley, 47% of our water is lost to leaks in the pipes under the ground. Upper Hutt, I think the number's about the same. It's the same in Wellington. Other councils have done a better job, but here in the Hutt Valley, we've done a poor job with water infrastructure. And you can see that in Auckland as well, and to some extent. And where we invest in good quality infrastructure, we know that it makes a difference. Think about Transmission Gully, the enormous effect that has had on the Wellington region. Unlocked tens of thousands of houses, made it much easier to get to and from State Highway 1 and going further north. The Waikato Expressway is another classic example, which has brought Auckland and Waikato closer together, made those economic markets a lot closer. And there'll be numerous stories that people tell you about tradies who can do four jobs in a day rather than 2 because of the Waikato Expressway. That's what good quality infrastructure does. Ultra-fast broadband's another example, which the national government delivered from 2009 to 2015. We have some of the best quality broadband and Wi-Fi in the developed world because we made those big investments. It was quite tough for a while, digging up the roads, and took a while. Wasn't cheap, but if you think about during the lockdown period, how grim would lockdown have been without access to high quality ultra-fast broadband? So that's a result of good investment in infrastructure. So we want to think about the next phases of that. And here in the Hutt Valley, there's 2 particular projects that we have identified that are very important for this region. The first is the Cross Valley Link roading project, which goes from the bottom of the Wainui Hill across to State Highway 2. It's been talked about here in the Hutt since the 1960s. We've made that a road of national significance, which means that it will be prioritised for funding. And then the second project is the Petone to Granada Link Road, again talked about for a long time. It's a road basically from Petone, busts through the hill there, connects into Granada and the northern suburbs of Wellington. Multiple benefits to both those projects. Cross Valley Link means the trucks can get off the Esplanade and go across the Cross Valley Link from east to west. It means that the Esplanade becomes a lot nicer place. 30,000 vehicle movements on the Esplanade every day. It's a choke point. When I first became an MP, it used to be busy in the morning and the evening peaks. It's now just busy permanently. That's because we just don't have the capacity going across the Hutt. And it means that the trucks can take the Cross Valley Link and then hit Petone to Granada and go further north. Also means that that big section of State Highway 2 from Petone to Naronga, which is really congested, that will be much more eased because some of that traffic will take the Petone to Granada Link Road. It means you can run public transport from the Hutt through to Johnsonville, Granada, Tawa. At the moment, you've got to go all the way into Wellington, all the way back out again. So it's multiple benefits to it. Also unlocks about 2,500 to 3,000 houses. Just had a developer email me the other day saying, if you build Petone to Granada, we'll be able to build about 5,000 to 6,000 houses. Now that's probably an overestimate, but thousands more houses. And of course, we've got a big housing crisis in the Wellington region and we need new houses. And so Petone to Granada is a way of unlocking some of that land. So those projects have been put in the too hard basket for too long. The last government basically cancelled Petone to Granada. We're going to get on and build it. We've also named that as a road of national significance. In order to deliver some of our infrastructure projects, we are going to use tools that other countries have used that we just haven't in New Zealand. So we're going to toll a lot of these roads. And not everyone's in favour of tolls, but what tolling does is mean that it can bring forward projects. If you've got a Tauranga, or Tauranga, as they sometimes call it, you think about the Eastern Link and Tauranga, think about some of the other roads there. Those projects were able to happen because of tolls. And there's no reason why other parts of New Zealand can't use tolls, which means that when you use the road, you pay us off the road over time. We're also looking at a big project in Wellington, which is the so-called mega tunnel from the terrace through to the airport, or through to Rongotai, basically, through to Kilburnie. Now, the Mount Victoria Tunnel is a shocker. It was built in 1931. So we're approaching 100 years. It's the same as it was back then. It's one lane each way, 45,000 vehicle movements per day. It's a massive choke point alongside the Basin Reserve. So we committed at the election to doubling the Mount Victoria Tunnel and sorting out the basin. But of course, that just shifts the problem to the terrace and the RO area. We live in a city where, in Wellington, where State Highway 1 runs right through the middle of Wellington on Vivian Street. It's not how most major cities do their major thoroughfares. They go either under the city or around the city. Can't go around it in Wellington, but you can go under. So what we're looking at is a big tunnel, 4-kilometre tunnel, double the size of the terrace tunnel, underground, under the city, and pop out basically in Kilburnie. 4 kilometres. It would shave 15 minutes off the drive from the terrace through to the airport. Massive time savings. Think about the efficiency gains to the economy from saving all that time. Means that that area of Wellington becomes a much more desirable place to live, work and play. So you get big value uplift in the places around there. A lot easier to build than doubling the Mount Victoria tunnel. I'm not saying that's impossible, that's doable, but it's a lot easier to just do a tunnel because it means the existing traffic can continue to flow while you build it. So we're having a really good look at that. It's an expensive project, I won't lie to you, it's an expensive one. We'd have to toll it, but my sense is that Wellingtonians and people coming through from outside Wellington through to the airport, my sense is people would pay a reasonable amount of money if it shaved 15 minutes off the journey. And that's the kind of high quality infrastructure that other places have. Those of you who've been to Sydney and Melbourne and other parts of the world, big cities, that's what they have. They have tolls, they have tunnels, and you can get across Sydney in not very much time because of those toll roads and those tunnels that they have. Brisbane's another example. You basically exit Brisbane Airport, you just hit the toll roads, hit the tunnels, you come up into the city, and everyone just gets on with their lives. So we are looking at those sort of things. So we're looking at that tunnel. We've got big projects here in the Wellington region. But as I say, we are going to look at new tools like tolls and public-private partnerships to deliver those projects. And that will be a bit edgy. There will be controversy around that. Not everyone's going to like it. And actually, that is what I would say would be the overall message of the next couple of years, is that we are going to have to do some things as a country to get the joint moving. As the Prime Minister says, we've got to get our mojo back as a nation. And that will involve things that not everyone's going to like, but actually our job as politicians is to serve the national interest and take some tough decisions, because just deferring tough decisions doesn't make them go away, as you know. It just pushes the problem to the next generation to deal with. I've got a 2-year-old son, I've got another one on the way, and I don't want him and whoever comes after him to have to pay down the debt that we've inherited over the last few years, particularly during the COVID period. Otherwise New Zealand is stuffed. So we are going to make some tough decisions. We are going to get on with the job. The good news is that if we make the right decisions now, we can set ourselves up for a sustained period of growth for the New Zealand economy for quite a long period to come. And that will ultimately mean higher jobs, more incomes for New Zealanders, and mean that we can all enjoy the benefits of prosperity. I'll leave it there, and I'll just finish by saying thank you to all thank you to you for all of what you do. Clubs are the heart of communities. I'm not at the Petone Club as much as I would like. I used to live in Petone and moved around to Days Bay, but this club here does a fantastic job. I'm up at the Cosy every now and then when I get up to Upper Hutt. But collectively, you do a fantastic job across so many different fields and so many different endeavours in communities. And Jim Bolger, who is a bit long on the tooth these days, but when he was Prime Minister, he used to talk about social capital. And we talk about natural capital, our national parks, we talk about physical capital, things like roads and things like that. We talk about human capital, people, basically. Social capital, the way Jim talked about it, was essentially civil society. People coming together, fellowship and collegiality, voluntary movements, charities, clubs, societies. That's what Jim talked about when it comes to social capital. And my own personal view is we undervalue the role of social capital in New Zealand society. It's hard to measure, but we know that thriving and prosperous communities really emphasise the role of social capital in society, and clubs and societies are a really important part of the social capital, the glue that makes up our nation, and you are all a part of that and a major contributor to it. So can I just close by saying thank you to you all for what you do, and looking forward to experiencing more of your facilities in the coming weeks and months. I'm pretty busy, but always room for a beer. Thanks very much.
Any questions for Chris?
You talk about the social community, etc. Why is the government allowing great big casinos to have thousands and thousands of people running slot machines all out? Clubs who police themselves, community, are not allowed to open or have people on their machines for more than a couple of hours.
Yeah, you're talking about like Sky City and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Sky City, I don't know. I'm not familiar with the details of it, but you know, Sky got a concession back in '99, I think, maybe the '90s. Yeah. So it goes back quite a long way, and it is what it is. We can have a look at the rules regarding. I'm happy to have a look at the rules regarding casinos versus clubs. Happy to have a look at it.
Because we police our members, we look after our members. Casinos are just there to take money for Australia.
Yeah, that's right. They make quite a bit as well. Yeah. One thing we are going to do is tighten up the rules around offshore gambling. So we campaigned on this, basically a licensing regime for offshore gambling. A lot of New Zealanders bet offshore, and New Zealand gets none of that. You know, we get none of that. So they just bet offshore. There's no licensing system. It's all essentially illegal, but there's no way to stop it. So we're setting up a licensing regime, and then we're going to tax offshore gambling providers to make sure that the New Zealand government gets some of that. And that means we can, you know, the revenue as to what we do with that revenue and how much it is. We're just kind of working through at the moment. But there's a substantial money flow out of New Zealand.
Even the legal TAB.
Yeah.
Where's that go?
Yeah, we'll go sport and racing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think where Steve was heading is you've recognised the role of clubs within the community. Late in the last couple of years, we are being so regulated now that it's very difficult to do our jobs.
Yeah.
We're finding, it was in the minutes from the last meeting I saw, that club managers, for instance, are a dying breed and very hard to find. And part of that is because we're so over-regulated, it's really hard to do our jobs now. And, you know, with the latest changes, for instance, you miss one thing, any one of us would be personally liable for an instant $1,000 fine. So it's very hard to attract people in. We're struggling to get anyone to really sit down and listen and talk to us. I know Lucy's done an amazing amount of work along with Clubs New Zealand.
Yep.
But we need help.
Yep.
Because the clubs that have been here for 50, 60 years, and we've all assumed will always be here, just won't if the regulation keeps going. Our liquor licensing changes. We are now, you know, all we need is an LAP to be changed, and our liquor license is instantly changed. Try and move this, or the COSI, or the Putirua Club, try and just move one, it's gone. So we just need help. And I think we've found that we've hit our heads against the wall from the department, the ministry's point of view. We can't speak to the Minister of Internal Affairs at the moment because there is some legal action happening as well, because it is inherently bad. So really it's going to come down to our local MP. Sorry to put it pressure, because I know you've got some other stuff going on, you've just told us. But it really is going to come down to our local MPs to help save the clubs, and that's where we are now.
Well, I know Lucy, and we've had some, I can't remember what issue we worked on last time.
Oh, look, it's COVID.
COVID, yeah. Well, look, it's not, I don't have ministerial responsibility for it, but I can help, obviously. Sounds to me like David Seymour needs to run through all the rules with a regulatory, reduce red tape lens. That might be something I could have a chat to David around. But we are genuinely really keen where we can make sensible amendments and abolition of regulations to do that. Because we've become an over-governed society. There's no doubt about it. And we've become run by bureaucrats. So reducing the number of bureaucrats will help. That's all good. But it's also
the DIA a bit more.
What's that?
You do the DIA a bit more.
Oh, they're don't worry about that. They're up for it as well.
We just need real people to talk to real people.
Okay, I might get David to
Yeah, we have had a conversation with David Seymour, Larry and I recently, and he was going to give us suggest that Brock Van Belden and also possibly on Paul Goldsmith have a chat with us. That hasn't come to fruition yet.
Okay, well, I can arrange that.
Yeah, hopefully you can give us a push there as well.
Yeah, I can arrange that. I mean, the liquor license and stuff really gets me going because, I mean, I've had about 3 or 4 different members. I mean, the Sale and Supply of Liquor Act 2012 is a massive problem. Now, what happened was that, do you remember that Law Commission report back in 08? That created a whole lot of moral panic about alcohol. And as always, we overdid it, the response. And that's always the danger with these things, is that you overdo the response and you end up with all these unintended consequences. And that's absolutely what's happened, which is why over the last 10 years or so, there's been a succession of bills to try and wind back various parts of it. I've had 3 members' bills of my own name around that. We're just about to change the law about cellar door tastings. That's one example of it. Off licenses and on licenses and how all those rules work, we need to change those as well. There's a whole lot of different things. So yeah, we should have a chat about that. It really gets me going because I enjoy a pint, and you know, as long as you're sensible about alcohol, you know, you're fine. The amount New Zealanders are drinking is reducing, by the way. No, from the way the media goes on about it. Yeah. Well, the way the media goes on about it, you wouldn't know that. Less alcohol is sold in New Zealand now compared to 30 years ago by a massive order of magnitude. So this idea we're sort of basically a drunken society is nonsense. Absolute crap. It's not true. And the amount we drink drive is massively less as well. And you will all have responsible post policies and things like that, and do a very, very good job.
It's because the managers need to take everyone home.
Yeah.
That's why there's less strict driving. The responsibility is on us.
Yeah.
We've got to make sure that everyone gets home.
Yeah. So we can look at some changes there. Yeah. I can tee you up with Brock and David. You'll always have a champion of me.
Club. 4 years ago, we were in Johnsonville Club, and Chris O'Connor says to us that the health department are coming after drinkers of the country, and all we're talking about it. Is it still in their plans to keep coming down hard on the drinkers of the country?
The health department?
Yeah.
Well, possibly, but we run them now, so yeah. Yeah, I mean, the health, this is what I say, I mean, these guys got to get things in perspective. I mean, as I just said, you know, the amount we drink is way less than it was 30 years ago. Drink driving's down, youth drinking is massively down. Not that you'd know it from the way the media goes on about it, but the number of young people who drink in a harmful way is at record lows. Not that you'd know it. So we're going to reorient the health guys around it. One of the problems with the health ministry is there's been a whole lot of activist alcohol inspectors, and what are they called? Alcohol harm reduction officers or something. And there's been a few of them who have really become activists rather than enforcers of the existing law. So there's a bit of a reorientation underway there. Yeah.
I was going to ask Steve Lambert from Upper why are you looking at these drilling away with the leaks? Can you look everywhere? That's why our GDP's down. People are so busy filling in forms for all sorts of bloody things. We can't get on doing work and producing stuff. It's stupid. We're nearly stacked on that.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, all I can say to you is, I mean, it's just too hard to do things in this country. It's just too hard. This is why we're doing the fast track bill, which is RMA's a classic. Yep. This is why we're doing it, because it's too hard to do things. Too hard to build stuff, too hard to build a house, too expensive. Yeah, all the red tape just gets laid up in cost, which everyone ends up paying for. So yeah, so you know, it's not, we can't do everything straight away. I mean, the main thing I get all the time is, why can't you do this tomorrow? And it's like, well, I would if I could, but we can't. So you know, we've had 6 months or so and a bit longer, and we're just working our way through. But you know, we're working as hard. I honestly say to you, we're working as hard as we can. We've got 3 parties in government. We're all working really well together. You know, the media, don't believe the media. They'll say, oh, they're all fighting and arguing and all the rest of it. Yeah, we have some barneys behind the scenes. It's all good. That's no doubt you probably have the same in your committees. Not everyone gets along. That's life. That's human nature. You have disagreements. But as long as you do it respectfully and collegially and professionally, it's fine. And that's the same with us. Across, you know, Mr. Peters and David and Christopher and the cabinet. So we're all working really well together, and we're just going as hard as we can and as fast as we can to try and turn things around. But it's not going to happen. That's the point I'm making to you. It's not going to happen straight away. You know, the things take time sometimes. But yeah. Yes.
AML on your hit list to get changed, removed.
What's that?
AML, anti-money.
Oh, AML. Yeah, that's on the list. Yes, Andrew Bailey is in charge of that. He's the Minister of Commerce. Yep. So we just changed the triple CFA, or we're about to. So you know, had those stupid 11 pages of regulations meant that the banks went through your Netflix account and worked out how much KD you were reading, which is pretty bad for me. Luckily, I already have a mortgage. But you know, all that stuff where they were going through what you did with your money, like literally down to $5 on a long black or whatever. So we've got rid of all that. We're about to get rid of it, but we've announced we are. And AML's next on the list. Yep. So there's a bunch of stuff happening around that. And that's another one where David and Andrew will be working closely together. David's kind of got this overarching, regulation role, and the aim is not to regulate. The aim is to get rid of the ones that are there and modify the ones that are there. So David and Andrew will be working on that. So yeah, it's on the list.
Chris, you talked about the bureaucracy from the government perspective, but it's in the private sector as well, and local government. So Riverlink, you'll be aware of that. So down my place, end of the street, can't go anywhere past my place.
Yeah.
And every day during the week, there's a Higgins truck to manage the traffic.
Yeah.
The only traffic it's managing is me coming out of my driveway.
Yeah.
And then you get other places where there's more cones than there are workers.
Oh, don't get me started.
And that's part of the cost for doing the businesses. So I understand Brooke is going to be looking at the health and safety legislation.
Yeah. Don't get me started on the road cones. So yeah, you know those road cones cost 40 cents to make, and they're rented out at $2 a day. So every time I drive past a building site or a construction site, I mentally do the math now. Figure out how much
business there.
Yeah, well, no, exactly. No, they're making a pretty penny.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Well, you're all paying for it.
Yeah, it takes 6 months just to move the cones.
Oh, I know.
The project.
Yeah. Then you've got the guys sitting around beside the cones, looking at the cones, not actually doing the work on with the cones. Don't get me started. So yeah, that's on the list. That's on the list as well. Brooke and I are about to do it, and Cindy and Brown are about to do some stuff on that. Yeah, it's like the it's sort of a bit like the Royal Commission into liquor. We always overdo this. So there's a couple of examples. One is health and safety post Pipe River. So obviously Pipe River was a tragedy, very, very sad. We had the Royal Commission into health and safety, but then we overdid it. So the road cones are a feature of that, of traffic management and all this sort of stuff. And you can over-regulate and overdo the response. And that's a classic example of where we did it. The other one is earthquake-prone buildings. So post Christchurch, with the CTV building, again, very sad. And we needed to make some changes. But the pendulum swung too far the other way. And now, there are no earthquakes in Auckland, right? But Auckland has all of these buildings they've got to upgrade for basically no reason. And the risk-reward ratio is way out of whack. Wayne Brown's going on about this all the time, but it's also out of whack in Wellington. Well, there are entire buildings in Wellington that basically they're safe. Well, the town hall is a classic in Wellington. $500 million that's going to cost in Wellington to rebuild the town hall, paid for by ratepayers, by the way. It'll be used 13, 14 times a year. So it'll be great when it's done, but it's vast expense. $500 million just because it's an earthquake risk. Well, I think we've got the balance wrong, personally. There's whole buildings that can't be used because there's earthquake risks. It's crazy. So I think we've just got to go back a bit. And so we've kicked off a full review of the earthquake-prone building rules for that reason. So that, again, that'll take a bit of time. We've got to get it right, but the work's underway. There's a cost-benefit ratio to all of these things, right? So, it's a bit like speed. Speeding, here it is. Like Greytown through to Masterton? Well, that's going back up to 100. That's going back up to 100. So
you can drive 100 in the rubber duckers.
Yeah, I know.
But 80 on the straight.
I know. Don't get me started. So that's going up to 100. TG is going to go to 110 alongside the rest of the expressway. Capital Expressway Capital Expressway is going to 110. Then we're going to do Transmission Gully as well, but this is crazy. The Transmission Gully is not finished yet, even though it's open because of the regional council, basically.
Cones.
Yeah, cones.
They haven't removed the cones.
Yeah. So once Transmission Gully's done, we'll put that up to 110 as well. I personally, I do 120 on the Catholic Expressway. But anyway. And that 80k, it's Greytown to Masterton, eh? Or Featherstone.
All the way.
Sometimes 60k and sometimes even 40k.
I got a speeding ticket over there the other day. I was going about 105. So anyway, so it's going to go back up to 100. So we're just working our way through that stuff. But it's like speed, right? Like, you know, it's very sad people die on the roads. It happens all the time. Actually, the biggest cause of that is not speed. It's drugs and booze. Actually, drugs. Drugs are 50% of road accidents. And road fatalities are drug related. So it's not so much that you go an extra fight. It's not that, you know, how many people died on that stretch of road because they went at 100 when they was arguably should have been 80? I'd say probably none.
Well,
So, you know.
When it went down to 80.
Yeah, exactly. It's people get frustrated. I mean, you could make the speed limit 10 on every road and you would have no deaths, you know. But we don't do that because there are trade-offs, right? There are trade-offs. People have got to get around, do business, go to take the kids to sport, you know, do their daily lives. There are costs and benefits to all of these things. So, and we've become a very cautious society. And the nanny state thing's part of it. So we've got to change that. But some of it's cultural. So central government can do some things and change the rules, but partly it's cultural too. People got to live a little, you know. Anyway, yes.
Just one question. You mentioned booze and drugs. Have we got any intention of having random drug testing? Like
Yes, yes, we are. We're doing that. So the last government passed the law to do random roadside drug tests, but they stuffed it up. So they made it so that you couldn't actually do it, even though they changed the law. It's a long story. We're fixing it so that you can. They have it in other countries. We can do it here as well. So that's underway. In fact, we're about to get legislation to the House on that in the next few weeks. So yes, that's coming. We'll start probably next year. Yeah. Yes.
Is there a plan for redirection or retraining of the staff members that are now losing their job in the government sector? Because my experience is that this creates panic among peers. Yeah. So if someone loses their job, the other guys stop spending and the other guys stop coming to the club. All of a sudden, everyone's working way harder.
Yeah. I mean, yes, to some extent. I mean, some of the people losing their jobs have taken voluntary redundancy. Other people, they just haven't filled the vacancies. So there was a vacancy out there, they just got rid of the vacancies. There's no one's actually in the job to start with. So there's a bit of that going on. Yes, there is. But there is, even after all of the cuts and the reprioritisations, there will be thousands more staff working in Wellington than there were compared to 6 to 10 years ago. So we just have to keep things in perspective a little bit. And yes, there's a bit of a contagion effect. You're completely right. But you know, Wellington, most of the job cuts are in Wellington. Wellington is bigger than government. You know, Wellington has an economy that is bigger than just central government bureaucracy. You know, film and services economy, technology sector. The Hutt Valley is a classic example. People think, oh, you know, all the public services live in the Hutt Valley. Yep, a lot of public services live in the Hutt. We've got an amazing technology sector out here. We've got incredible companies in manufacturing, light and heavy industry. And so, you know, over time, we want to get the private sector going again. You can't base an economy just on the public sector all the time. You know, you just can't. And Wellington shouldn't be seen as like that. So, but that process will be a bit painful. There's no doubt about that. But it's necessary. It's really, really necessary. Yeah. Yes.
Are you as infrastructure looking at trying to expand Wellington Airport against what the council say? Because it is meant to be a capital city.
Yeah.
We could do with an international airport.
Yeah. My wife is very senior at Wellington Airport, so I know quite a lot about it. I mean, it's not for central government to do that. It's the airport itself's got quite big plans. So Wellington Airport's owned by Infratil investment company, and they own 2/3 of it. Wellington City Council owns another third of it. City Council is looking at divesting itself of that asset, and ultimately it's over to them. It's a bit weird owning a third of a company because you don't actually have much control over it. You only own a third of it. So the council's saying, well, maybe we should do something else with the capital. It's over to them, obviously.
Cycle lanes.
Yeah. Best thing we can do for Wellington Airport is make it easier to get there, which is why the tunnel's important. So yeah, I mean, the airport itself's got quite ambitious plans over the next 20 years. So where the where the domestic jets are at the moment, they're basically going to rotate around the whole airport. It'll take 20 years, like it hasn't started for a while. But they're growing the size of the airport, what they call the apron. So they will do that. It'll take a while. The runway extension is the kind of unresolved issue. Again, that's kind of over to them. They're still quite keen, I think, to extend the runway. They've had this long, ongoing dialogue with the airline pilots who are opposed to it for a variety of reasons I don't really understand. It's a very safe airport to fly in and out of, except when it's windy. So yeah, ultimately that's over to them, but they've got quite big plans. We should be really proud of Wellington Airport. It's a great airport, certainly better than Auckland Airport. It's a shocker. And you know, again, I've got a bit biased because my wife works there, but I think it's a great airport. Yeah. Yes.
So you've talked about the infrastructure, water infrastructure issues, and you've talked about the Renata Lake and the developer saying about all the housing. So who's going to be responsible for, you know, all that housing and the water infrastructure?
Ultimately, that will be paid for by the people moving into the development. So the developers and the people moving into the housing. So the basic principle's got to be that with growth comes the money to pay for that, the infrastructure required to support that growth. So that's the core principle underlying it. Yeah.
That's it there, but it's going to come down here, which you've got problems.
Yeah, well, that's why we've got to invest in the infrastructure here. It's why Petone to Granada is really important. Why the Cross Valley Link's really important. Council's starting to invest heavily into the water here on the valley floor as well. Probably seen some of that happen. And you know, we are working with the councils around what Labor used to call the three waters infrastructure. Problem was they set up a stupid model to do it. We've got a much better model, and work is underway on that right now. In fact, in about half an hour, we're announcing a solution for Auckland in particular, which avoids all of the rate rises in Auckland, which is really exciting as well. So yeah, there's heaps of work underway on that.
No more. Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, Mr. Ray, over to you.
Well, this is going to be fun. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. Lost me voice. Hang on. Yeah. I need a whiskey. I don't have COVID, by the way. May as well have though. So, as Dave said, but Lisa and myself attended the working group at Tane's headquarters, which is in Auckland. Not really their headquarters, it's actually their winning post, which is right on the finishing line at Ellerslie Racecourse. I do apologise about my voice, hopefully it'll get better, but I don't fancy my chances. I think I might have caught this off Lisa, I don't know, she had it before I did. Anyway, I'll try and get through. So, first thing you would have seen come out is the retail portal, which went live in March 2024. There's one button on there that all you operators and managers will find very useful at the moment. That's the feedback button. One thing that Entain have made Entain or the GAB have made very clear, all the changes they are making are necessary, but they're not locked in stone. So if you are getting feedback from your members, and some of it is very positive and something that you believe that you should be giving back to the Entain group, please use that feedback button. And at the end of each month, every time they make a change, they will review that feedback and they will try and make some positive changes to fix the issues. I guess the other issue out there that happened recently was them going to trackside free to wear and introducing all their new branding. Most of that you would have got your information packs last Tuesday and put your new signage out. Your app would have updated, all your pods would have updated, and your man screen would also have updated. I guess as a punter myself, my biggest moan and groan at our meeting was the graphics on the new TAB channels. Not great. can't see them from the side. Even had a conversation with a gentleman this morning about it. They are looking at that and trying to improve that. The other issue you're going to have, of course, is most of our punters out there have been around for a few years, and it's like moving a leaner in a club. The minute we move the leaner, it's the end of the world. So TAB, very similar. I mean, these are wholesale changes, but these are because they've got a power of money to invest, and they're wanting to move things forward and make some positive changes. They have given us some dates now for the rest of the rollout. By the in May, the sign contractors will come in. They will have a look at your current signage, and they will measure everything up, and they will install the latest screens that will replace your betting papers, your printouts every day. So that will be like a little bit like Giddy Up. If you've got that, it'll actually be better than Giddy Up, from what I understand. When Dave and I went to Brisbane, and we go to Brisbane, Dave, March, but we had a good look at one of the new pods, and also those screens they have over there. So there are touch screens. All your fields and everything will be on there. If you do have punters that still want you to print those fields out, you can, but only from the website. You won't be able to do it from your man pod anymore. They will be removing your printers. They're looking to go paperless right the way through. They will still be having man terminals, a more modern version, and they'll all be touchscreen as well. So I'm well aware, because of what I do for a living in the IT world, that the current man terminals, quite often if you get a new operator changing the paper, they'll knock the keyboard out and it doesn't work, and then next minute that terminal's down. So the new terminals will actually fix that problem. Oh, I need to catch my breath now. Start dates for the rollout of new terminals for clubs and pubs. That will happen 1st of April 2025. Won't happen any sooner. They will be looking after their TAB will look after their own venues first, and their own venues will get all those new screens. And I think Courtney Place already has the new screens in there. So if you want to go and look down there, they do have the little new touch screens and that sort of thing. The number of touch screens you'll get will depend on the size of your venue, and they will be upgrading venues based on turnover. So the highest turnover venue, perhaps Upper Hutt, I don't know, will be getting the first option for the rollout. The new pods, they do have a barcode on them. You will need a TAB account to use those. Again, they're looking to go paperless, so you won't get your betting slips anymore. There's a Q code on there will be a Q code on the new app, and you'll be able to scan that on the pod, and it will automatically pick up your account. You put your bets on. The minute you walk away, it'll disconnect you. Well, I hope it does, otherwise it might go on my account when I turn up. But that's what they're looking at. There are going to be some teething problems. Those pods will also have PayWave and FPOS. There has been talk of that being FPOS and a money machine, that they may take your money machine away and it'll be on your pod. Dumb idea, because then you're going to have a punter and probably someone from the gaming room lining up to get some money, and it's going to be an interesting fight. So yeah, the recommendation from Clubs New Zealand is they keep the money machines in there as well. TAB are also looking to launch merchandise, and they're going to have a merchandise card. That'll be interesting when they do it. Now, again, getting back to my field, which is I do TV installs, do a lot of, I'm not a Sky installer, but I do a lot of IT work, and done a lot of work in clubs in my area. One thing that I picked up on straight away, and I did ask the TAB, when they went trackside free to air, my question is this: do any clubs here have Sky decoders that only have trackside on there, nothing else? If you do, you no longer need them. You can go free to air on those trackside channels. You do not have to pay the extra $300 or $400 a month for those Sky decoders, because you don't need them anymore. You go free to air, you put those TVs on free to air trackside, no different to what you're getting on your Sky decoder. Save yourself a shitload of money, to put it blankly. Something really to look at. I've done it in my own club, already saved my club $400 a month. Don't need them anymore. If you don't have free to air, probably cost you, I don't know, about $300 to $400 to put an aerial up and link it into your current system, and you can use the existing cabling to do that. It's not going to cost you a huge amount of money to do that, but it's going to save you a heap on what you're paying to Sky. TAB made it very plain to us that they are still contracted to Sky. And so we asked the question, just not if it's okay for us to do it. They went nod. So you can do it. It's not going to affect your deal with Sky. In fact, it's going to save you money. Sky will never tell you this, but it's something to really consider. If your decoders, however, have trackside and they have all the sports and you still need those, then be careful when you do that. Look at it carefully. That's pretty much it on the TAB from me. Just before I hand over to Dave and Lisa, I have another question from left field. Do any clubs here have mobile phone towers in their car parks that they're getting rental on? Okay. Have you?
On our building, on our parking building. Yes.
Okay, so you're paying a cell phone company for you're getting you've got a lease on that cell phone tower. They're giving you money.
Yes.
To have that on there. Have you had an offer from Everest recently?
Yes, we have in the last 5 or 6 months.
Okay, so I know a number of clubs that have, and again, because of the field I'm in, I was really interested in this. I can talk about a club in my area, but what I want to do, I'm going to tell you what they've been offered. So currently, if you have a cell phone tower in your club, the club that I've been dealing with, they're getting $700 a month on that lease. So they approached, and it's a One New Zealand tower, which is Vodafone, was Vodafone, now One New Zealand. They were approached out of the blue. They wanted to put a cell phone tower in the club car park. Easy money, $700 a month, including just real easy turnover. So this company, Everest, they're a huge company. They own cell phone tower sites around the world. What they've done is they're approaching, excuse me, clubs that have towers in there. And this club, for example, has a 35-year lease. They're going to get $475,000 over that 35-year period. They review it every 6 years, so it can it'll go up, it won't go down. Real easy revenue. So Everest has come in and offered them to buy the lease out, $93,500 plus just, which is $107,000. So for a club that's struggling, easy money, $107,000 in the bank, ready cash. You know, why wouldn't you grab it? But the lease is worth $475,000. They also give you a Excel spreadsheet, which gives you a breakdown of what they say you will get for the $107,000 over the next 35 years, which is $700,000 according to them. So when you do it like that, it's a pretty tempting offer. My thought is that it's a low ball offer. The lease, you know, the current lease is $465,000 return. So why aren't they offering you at least half? So, gentlemen over here, I suggest you look at it very carefully.
Yeah, we have been actually.
Yeah. If you want to talk about it afterwards, happy to talk. Yeah. So I did have a bit more in my report, but the voice has just about done his dash. So if Dave and Lisa want to add on to the TAB, and Lisa, you can do the conference update if you feel like it.
Lisa, you got anything to add to TAB?
Yeah, probably just a couple of things. So the TAB did say they're going to be really thoughtful about the rollout. If equipment isn't ready or hasn't been tested, they're not going to put it out. They'd rather hold it back. So while they're sort of being conservative around a 3-year rollout, and what they're really trying to do is make it a 2-year. And they're also trying to offer flexible. So if you're a smaller venue that potentially only has an SST rather than a man terminal and an SST, or you have a man terminal but you probably don't use it other from cash outs, they're looking at introducing Bob. Bob is a back of bar solution.
That's right.
So basically, so bring me your ticket, rather than me using the man terminal to cash it out, I can just go to Bob, swipe it with Bob, and he'll give me the money to give back to you. So you don't have to have the whole man terminal. They're also doing things in the same shape. So if you've got the man terminal, which for a lot of us are in cutouts in our bars, the new equipment is the same shape, so that we to minimise any building work or remedial work by swapping them out. So while they will act differently, i.e. the touch screen and the keyboard, it'll look sort of and fit the same. They're certainly putting a lot of work into the offers for the punter and making it more enjoyable. If you've got the app, you'll see that you've got bonus cash now, which is like a bonus bet, except you can do what you like with it. Bonus bet, say a $10 bonus bet, you can only spend it as $10. bonus cash, you can spend it in whatever denomination you want, which is quite cool. Looking at creating a syndicate, and those with punters clubs could be really good for them. Essentially, it's like creating a room where everyone through their own personal app can then contribute money to. So a punters club, I know Purirua has a really big one up at Sport of Kings. You could literally be putting your money directly into your syndicate through your apps, rather than having to take the pressure off the people that are having to try and administer it, especially with larger syndicates. And it also means for all of us that always go to conference and always end up putting 10 bucks in a jug, taking turns, rather than having to put the 10 bucks in the jug, we can create a little room and have a wee syndicate turnaround. As Terry said, there is some changes to the app, and some of them are like, some of them not. They are changing, and you do get used to it. I have to say I put on a bet wrong last night and it came in, so I'm okay with it. And then probably one of the big changes is that you would have noticed if you're watching TV NZ that there's a lot of advertising from Entain at the moment. They're basically going out, we're looking for new customers, we're hunting new customers, and therefore a challenge that they've given to us is to maybe look at some of our offerings and piggyback off some of their hard work. We've also asked them for more advertising resources which are more suited to us, which is electronic. Generally, a lot of clubs use electronic rather than putting up posters all of the time. And again, for the wider members, not just the punters are going to punt. We need to try and get some of our others to come and get involved in some of the events. And there's a range of events, including one in October, the NZB, if I remember right. It's a 10 race card with 8 group races.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really big. So they're suggesting that they're sort of bringing out some bigger events. That's where the merchandise and stuff works in to start planning, and they'll support us to have these events around their events. And lastly, I'd love to know if anyone, because I would really like to maybe look at creating a clubs, maybe Wellington, Wairarapa at this stage, syndicate, where we have gone to maybe a bit of a lease ownership with a couple of horses that we could then, and I mean you members, not you as in clubs, it's probably stretching it, but we could then maybe have a bit of a little club that can go, punters club that can go around each of our clubs supporting the horses. Those who went to Te Hira Nikau would, everyone had a great time. So if anyone would be interested in principle, I would happily put something together to send out, but if no one's interested, it's probably not of any point.
See what happens.
Okay, thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, I just got a couple more things I remember that.
Yeah.
It was a big day.
It was a big day, yeah. So the other thing to take into consideration, that is a full hardware and software replacement, which is huge. So your venue could be down for quite a few hours the day they do it, quite a few days, I don't know. But it's a big upgrade. It's not a little upgrade. Even what they did on Tuesday, I think most venues come back online about 2 o'clock, 2:30. So that was overnight. That was 12 hours. So it's going to be huge when they actually do it. The other big thing now is that basically to have a bet, you're going to have to, punters are going to have a TAB account, which means they're going to go through the ID verification, which used to have to be done in a TAB store. Doesn't have to be anymore. They can do that online, so that'll speed it up. In my venue, we've had a couple of punters come in that are not really upset that they've got to have a TAB account, but now they've got one, they're pretty happy. So just a matter of educating them. Probably don't move their leaner, but give them a TAB account, you'll be all right. Right, that's it.
Thank you. And finally, I'll just add to Entain, they're investing $25 million in New Zealand for doing what they're going to do. And they told us that they expect to lose money in years 1 and 2 with the rollout of all the new software and everything, and hopefully start making a bit of money in year 3. But $25 million investment, I think things are going to work out pretty good for clubs.
Yeah. And just one last thing. in the Interclub magazine, I did, in my president's report, I did say that clubs could now apply if they didn't have a TAB. Head office got a couple of phone calls over that. So they can apply to TAB, and as Lisa alluded to, they are looking to grow their business and grow their venues, but it is up to Petone whether or not they think your venue is suitable. So they're looking to put more pods in venues, and you are, I meant what I said. You can only ask. Yeah.
Geofencing on the apps? Any geofencing on the apps, on the new app?
Yes,
Yes.
still the same
Still-
geofencing.
Yeah, when you go to Aussie, you can't have a bed on there.
I meant for clubs.
Yeah, for
Oh,
clubs
yeah,
and
yeah,
the syndicates as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
if you're doing it that way, you actually get the group.
Okay. Where are we? We're update from you, Lucy.
Update from me, thank you. Where to start? Probably with the advocacy and government, and I think that was a really positive presentation from Chris Bishop. Really appreciated that, and as I said, we'd met with Larry, and I had the opportunity to meet with Honourable David Seymour shortly after conference, and that was a good meeting. We walked out of that feeling pretty positive as well. He did offer to write to Brooke Van Velden and to Paul Goldsmith. Brooke Van Velden holds the DIA Internal Affairs portfolio, and Paul Goldsmith has that Justice portfolio. Look, I'm not holding my breath. I do think that we will have an opportunity to sit down with those ministers, but we do have to be a little bit patient. But hopefully, I'll write an email to Chris Bishop after this and just point out some of the concerns that we have in more detail, and hopefully get the ball rolling there on some more discussions, which will be good. Classful gaming is still a major priority for us at National Office, and it's about making sure that we're prepared for what's going on, and subsequently that clubs operating classful gaming are prepared with those new regulations that were introduced. The problem gambling awareness training calendar is now underway. Keith has been doing a number of the venues down in the South Island, and that's having a really good uptake. And at the same time, we're going in and doing the compliance checks there, which are really just aimed at giving you peace of mind. We can't guarantee that what we pick up on is going to be what the DIA are looking for exactly, but it should just give you a little bit more confidence with what you're doing and how you're doing it. I'm taking up a bit of that role starting tomorrow, believe it or not. After this, I'm driving to Gisborne, and we'll be delivering training up there, and then making my way back down through Hastings and Dennyburg. So it's a bit exciting, and we continue to have regular contact with the team at the DIA. We don't always agree with what they have to say, and they probably don't agree with what we have to say, but we're communicating, and I think that's a really good place to be in. Incorporated societies, that's ongoing now. We've had one club that I'm aware of, I alluded to this at conference, that has re-registered using the club's New Zealand model constitution. That's been going really well for them, and they've had no issues. I know that a lot of clubs have got their AGMs coming up very soon, and are working through their constitutions and getting ready to re-register. I have a lot of questions from clubs concerned about whether they can make certain changes to the model constitution and whether they can tweak things. And I just want to reiterate that it is a template, it's a model, and you are more than welcome to take it, pull it apart, put your own spin on it and make it your own. It is a starting point, and as long as you're ticking off those things that you have to have in your constitution to comply, you're good to go. We have set the model constitution up so that you can pick it up make the necessary changes and re-register without having to get lawyers involved. And that's partly where the legislation is sitting as well. It's about clubs self-governing, so you're writing your own rules and not needing to get lawyers involved. That's not to say that you shouldn't go and put it in front of your lawyers if you want to as well.
Are you guys working with the Royal New Zealand RSA around the model constitution that they wanted to put out for RSAs?
We're not. They approached us and wanted the Clubs New Zealand model constitution. However, they wanted to make a whole lot of changes to it that we weren't comfortable with. And so, yeah, we will work with the RSAs that are members of ours and come up with a solution that works if you want to go down that route, or you can go with what the Royal New Zealand RSA are putting out. So it's really, I've had a few clubs that have come forward with, and I've gone through the constitutions that they're looking at. I'm not sure if I have time to review 300 odd constitutions, but if you send me yours, I'm more than happy to look at it on the condition that I'm not a lawyer and I can't give a legal opinion. I can just give you our thoughts on it. I have to touch on fair pay agreements. Despite that being repealed towards the end of last year, we are still dealing with the hangover of it. The day before that act was repealed, the Unite Union put in an application to the Employment Relations Authority asking for the authority to fix terms for a fair pay agreement for the hospitality industry. So we've had to make submissions to the Employment Relations Authority. We sat in on a 2-hour meeting last week, which as a non-legal person was quite painful because it was very legal in nature. But effectively, the Unite Union are arguing that because the Fair Pay Agreement Act was live when they made that application, that their application can be tidied up as if the act was still in place. So we're arguing that actually the ERA doesn't have the jurisdiction to make that call or to put the FPA in place, and we're pretty hopeful that the authorities will see Unite's application for what it is and dismiss it. Other things that are going on at the moment, so we've kicked off the problem gambling awareness training. We're doing a bit of a review of our whole training that we offer and just making sure that we've got the resource to deliver it, whether we need to look at having some third parties involved just to be able to get across the whole country. We've brought back to basics though. We'll have one of those running in July in our office in Wellington. We keep that to 10 managers and that sold out within 2 days. So we're back to the drawing board to get some more dates in there, and we just find that's a really valuable couple of days bringing new managers into Wellington and taking them through what we do, but also just a high level look at their roles and what club management is all about. I will touch just on the streaming of this meeting. Lee is having because at the moment it's just us talking to the camera, and we might have some clubs in here but they can't participate or ask questions. So Lee is going to be looking at how we can improve that, just because the area is so big, and making sure that everyone can be involved. And then finally, just on the app and some of that tech work that's going on, and I'll speak on behalf of Lee with this, the app is going really well at the moment. I think he has sort of 20 to 30 people contacting him almost every day, doing updates and getting that working, and we've got even more joining up for it every day. We have had a few issues where club members using the app have gone into clubs and been denied entry because the staff or whoever's on the door doesn't recognise it as a valid proof of membership. So just please make sure that your staff know what the app is and what it's all about, so that they, if they're visiting or travelling the country, they can come in and use your club. At conference, Lee and Kate stood up to give a bit of an introduction around what we're doing with sports tournament entries. The work's ongoing with that, and it's sort of starting to happen a lot faster than we anticipated, which is nice for a tech project. Our developers were able to take us through what they've done so far, just in terms of the user interface on the website and how that will run. And at the moment, we're really just waiting on the bank to get back to us on the merchant side of things with online payments. So that's progressing, and we're pretty hopeful that in the next few months we'll be looking at one of the first tournaments to go down that route and have online entries. So that's pretty exciting. So that's enough from me. If there's any questions, happy to give those a go. No, you're all pretty good. Excellent.
All right. Lovely. Thanks, Lucy. Just before we move on to club reports, Terry brought some information down. Napier RSA has voted in support of leaving the national body in an extremely re-emotion.
That's the RSA, not us.
Yeah. So I won't read the whole thing out, but you're quite happy if you want to come and see me, and we can print a few of these off for you to read about it. But Napier's RSA military members have voted in support of leaving the national body, the Royal New Zealand Return and Services Association, in a rare move that could save the club tens of thousands of dollars each year. However, a final decision is yet to be made on whether the club will withdraw its membership from the RNZ RSA. That decision will be made only following negotiations between the two parties, with a final decision expected by June. So, and there's quite a bit more information in there, so if you want to read that, then see you after the meeting. Okay, club reports. Shall we start with Porirua?
Yeah, okay. I'll just stand because I've got a fairly quiet voice. Richard Alexander, Porirua Club. Our club's pretty much business as usual. Our pretty much on budget. Actually, better than what we thought we might go under these, recent times of things being a bit tight. One thing that we have done, and thanks to Trina for her initiative, is that we've looked at a way of doing our renewal of membership. So our membership is due at the end of May. So for the last month or so, if you renew early, you have a chance of going into a draw for a number of prizes of our business partners, our local business partners. I think we're over $6,000 now, Trina. And we've also got 4 nominated charities. So as you get your membership renewal, plus every time you buy $15 after you renew, you get an entry in for this major draws of prizes from now. Now this, I'd say, is a stage of qualified success. The renewal is not really much more, but the activity is higher. So in other words, we're getting our members coming in earlier and spending rather than just paying online. So that could be of interest to a number of clubs. It's the first time we've tried it. And be interesting to see how we go with a major draw we've got mid-June. The other thing we're looking at, and we may be bothering some of you people, is we're looking at the structure of our membership draws and our raffles. We feel that maybe it's time just to have a look and see, when you do something for a long time, it tends to get a little bit stale. So we may be tapping on the shoulder and going, hey, what do you do in this space? So thanks for that, everyone.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Walton, the new club president at Johnsonville. Our last president was at least 7 years. He doesn't even remember now. So I have a totally different leadership style to Steve, would be fair to say. Everybody knows me here in this room. So one of the things I'd like to say is for all our presidents, I'd open myself up to the farm gate talks. I feel it's important for us to network and just say what we need to say off record to each other and just support each other. So I'd like to put that out to you guys and girls right now. That's what I'm offering from my point of view. Our membership, well, we've grown about 20% in the last 8 months, but we're a smaller club, you know, of 1,400 odd members. So that's probably another 300 members that we've taken on board. But we find our participation levels to be low, i.e. 17 or 18%. Well, 17 or 18% for us is a fair amount. For a big club, that's probably not so much, probably because you're getting your 300 or 400 or 500 regulars all the time. So that's something we're trying to really work on. To get that up just 2 or 3% would be a major difference for us in revenue. And, you know, we're looking at all revenue streams within our club structure. We've recently completed a major draft refurb plans, and we've displayed them to the membership and drawn submissions on those, and we've had quite a bit of feedback on that. And I'd say the number one item of feedback is affordability in today's financial climate. So when and where we can afford these refurb works is when we'll do them. We've tried to make this obvious to our members. They feel we're going to shut our club down for 2 or 3 years while we try and refurb our whole building, but sometimes the message just doesn't get through. So we continue to do things like that. I'd like to touch, well, I was going to touch on the cost of living crisis, but I think that's blatantly obvious to us all and how it's probably affected our businesses, because that's the way we look at it. We're a business and we're trying to, well, just survive really, to be honest. So that's just one part of that whole thing and around refurb. The conference we had recently, I felt was only the second conference that I'd gone to, and I felt that was a really good networking process for us at Jabil. And that's one of the main reasons we always try and attend. And it's not about the people we already know, it's the new people that we haven't met. So, you know, that's why I want this sort of, this little president's working group to continue on, much like our managers in our regions and stuff like that. Our restaurant, we're going back in-house. We felt we've lost full control of that, and we're biting the bullet on this one, and it's going to cost us some money. But we want full control of our restaurant, the services that we offer our members, and not only that, to the wider community. And as anyone will know from this room, we've got to get up a driveway to our building, and it is not the most popular thing to do. So if we have to put a chairlift in, we'll put a chairlift in to get people up there. You know, we're just going to go hard on this one. Recently, we just had our 74th birthday party, which was a great night. But we did notice that it wasn't quite as full as normal years. You know, the place would just be standing room only. And I guess that's just action on this cost of living crisis. But we had a great time, and I hope we have another 74. Us too, we've been working on our constitution. We've got our draft ready, so we're quite happy with that progress and that side of it. That's pretty much all for me, so feel free to have a chat with me anytime you like, people. I'm quite open to that. That's my style. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Petone.
Okay.
Awesome. Up to you, Ian.
Apparently so. A little bit been happening with us in the last 12 months. Like all of you would have experienced, food and beverage and gaming has sort of been up and down. We refurbished our bistro last June, and we have seen in the last 9 months probably about between 5 and 6% upswing in that, just in regards to productivity, which is really good. So I suppose our advice would be any clubs looking at a refurbishment in one of your main income generating areas, absolutely bite the bullet and go ahead and move on with that. We had our catering manager, who anyone who knows the club, we've had our catering manager almost 21 years. He retired from club life about 3 months ago. There was some concern in our perspective as we went out to market to try and find someone who would be able to come in and understand our business and understand our turnover, because it is a high for us. $2.6 million a year goes through that outlet, so for us it is a high volume area. We've found someone that is known to
a couple of other managers in the room, and knows the club industry, which is good. So he's settled in well. There's a few things we will change and tweak along the way, but again, that's working out really well for us. I suppose the main one for us for this year, we have a full roof refurbishment or full roof replacement. The club was built in 1977, and other than a few patch-up jobs here and there, the entire roof, as we know, has not been replaced. So that is a large capex for us, and that kicks off in October. So we are preparing ourselves for that. Other than that, in the gaming space, again, like other venues, there seems to be no rhyme or reason except for the fact that we're certainly trading at a higher level gaming turnover-wise than we did pre-COVID. A lot of that, I think, for a lot of venues, Class 4 venues in particular, post-COVID, there was an upswing, and a lot of places, I think, have managed to get that momentum. We've also been trying to implement a few changes to some of our older machines, upgrading those cabinets and that sort of thing, upgrading those games. So again, my advice would be if you have an executive or you have a board that are sitting on the fence in regards to whether or not to upgrade your EGMs, I would say bite the bullet and do it. We see almost instantaneous improvement in our GMP once you upgrade those games. So other than that, staffing levels. 6 months ago, we couldn't find staff, for level, they just were not there. We would advertise for staff, and I'm not talking about experienced staff, I'm talking entry level staff. We just really struggled. There just wasn't a lot in the marketplace here in, say, the Hutt Valley region, the Wellington region. Fast forward 6 months, we're getting unsolicited CVs now from every man and his dog. So again, I don't know what has happened, but there certainly seems to be an excess of people wanting to work within our industry. Now, this could be a sign of the times. We will talk about how tough it is in regards to the financial crisis. Maybe these people are looking at upskilling, second jobs, I'm not too sure. But again, I'll be interested to see if other areas are experiencing this as well. For the first time in a long time, I've got more CVs in my inbox than I've got jobs for, and that is highly, highly unusual. So, other than that, I continue to be grateful for the support from our executive and our management team. So again, we've got a board in here as well, and Lisa touched on it too. Being a club manager is not easy at the moment. Whether you've got a small club with smaller problems or a big club with bigger problems, it's not easy. We do our very, very best, and we don't always get it right. The fact there's such good turnout today is really encouraging. We know we've got Club New Zealand and head office behind us, but as club managers, as executive, we need to work together. Those dialogue needs to be there. I like the fact that JB's talking about the presidents getting together and that sort of thing. I'm very fortunate that there's a group of us here in the Hutt Valley Wellington area. We'll catch up on a regular basis and we'll discuss our business, and we can be honest with each other and say, this is good, that's rubbish, what do I do in this space? And we're comfortable enough to be able to do that and have those conversations. So again, Chris Bishop touched on it, it's up to all of us, I suppose, to support each other. Your success is our success, the old saying, rising tide lifts all boats, and I firmly believe that. So that's all from my end, and thank you.
Lovely, thanks, Ian. Masterton.
Masterton Club, I'm Sandy Linpeter, I'm the Vice President. We have now 3 at the top, all females. President's female, I'm Vice President, and our manager, newly appointed, is also female. So from a gentleman's club to a club that has 50% women, and now 3 women on the top, it's quite a change.
Pretty tough too.
Okay, I've got a few things. Cost of living is hitting us. We noticed in November a downturn quite considerably in our income. We had a lot of problems with people pulling out of our Christmas bookings, as in out of club bookings of our venue. Days before they were meant to turn up, they pulled out because of them being able to fill the vacancies of what they've had put in. So we've had to put in changes into that and having a default clause into anybody that now comes in and books our place, because it was hurting us, because we booked staff, we booked food, and they fell over in a very short period of time. And it was basically the cost of living issue around our area. We're a farming area, as you're probably aware, and the farmers are hurting big time, and that makes a big difference to our situation. Our membership is very stable, but our demographics of age has changed quite considerably. We've been working very hard on replacing our aged members who leave us for various reasons, but some of those are permanent into different places in the world. We're getting a lot of young people, and we're working very hard. We've got members down at 21 and under now, and they are bringing in a lot of younger members with it, and it's working very well. We've been working on the cocktail to encourage them to come in. In 3 years' time, we will be 150 years old, and so we're starting to talk and plan for that big situation. So if anybody wants to help us out there, we'd be very happy for that. And the other thing that I'd like to bring up is our asset, our big asset, which is our building. It's a very old building now, and it's now starting to keep us in a headache material because it costs us a lot to keep an old girl going.
Very complicated.
And not only does that, our local environment, the rates are going up colossal in our town, and our insurance was nearly prohibitive. So what we've done with our insurance for the last couple of years is we do not pay for earthquake, we only pay for fire. So because it was prohibitive.
Thank you. Abaha?
I won't stand and come back to you. Donald, fucking up prison. First off, I guess it's nice to be here, we've had a good crowd. But a big thing for us as a club is over the last 2 or 3 years we've had a couple of managers who have left us and different reasons, but couldn't quite cut the mustard for whatever reason. And I'm delighted to announce to you all today, for those who don't know, that a very experienced leader from the Porirua Club and prior to that, the Johnsville Club, has taken on the job of leading us into the future, and it's Lisa Baton.
I'm $20 after this for that.
You're cheap.
I won't take up too much of your time, but obviously we've got lunch coming up shortly. But obviously, look, as we know, we're coping with the high inflation, high interest rates, and cost as Chris alluded to before. Recession, mini recession that we're in right now, and it's been difficult for everyone to get bums on seats. So we're all in the same boat and addressing those issues. And I guess for us it was cutting down on capital expenditure, no new furniture and that sort of thing that can wait for another day. So getting through that. And I suppose we've just had the breweries put up their prices, wine and TV, plus the other suppliers of food and beverages. Obviously, we've had to adjust our margins accordingly to make a dollar. I suppose positives, there's always positives going forward. We've had last month 66 new members, and that carries on from about 50 odd the month before. So, after losing quite a few members over that COVID period, they're starting to come back, and we're certainly advertising on Facebook and social media to get those new members on board. Adjunct grants, we stopped that for a couple of years. I know that there's one or two other clubs in the same boat that haven't been giving grants, especially outside grants to the community, but also grants to our adjuncts. We had to, that had to tie ho for a little while, but pleased to say that now we've readjusted our budget and there is some money for those grants going forward, and just over the last couple of months we have fed them a little bit. And I think it's an old saying, if you feed them at the trough, they'll come back. So, and I think we'll just definitely carry on with that for now. They're always looking forward to visitors to the club. We just had visitors from the Himitangi Club, which it's a club that we starting off an association with, and they've invited club members up there. Lovely club up on the coast. This morning, when I left the club this morning, we had over 200 people in there for charity housing. The car park was full, so that's a good thing going forward, and we definitely carry on with that. Those numbers dropped away, but they're starting to come back again. We've got 26 of our members going up to Manurewa Club Queen's birthday weekend. That's our Aces High dart player, card players. Also having visitors from the adjunct pool, cricket adjunct having their prize giving very shortly, whereas normally they would have it outside of someone's garage. They're going to have it at the club and spend their money there. Recently had 40 odd Mahjong players, which is unusual, but unusual adjunct to have that we had, and they have visited from around the lower North Island. So all that sort of stuff helps us fill the coffers, and we're looking forward to the future with upwards confidence. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Tom. South Wairarapa.
Harold, South Wairarapa, President. Thank you for the opportunity of speaking. Just one or two things. We're just appointed a new club manager this week. It starts tomorrow, actually. So it's a long and convoluted process finding the right person. This person is a local person, an old club family in that many years, and we've taken not a risk, but I think a different track. He's not fully conversant with club, but we think he's a person who's got the business and experience to be our new club manager, so we just need to see how that goes. Our strategy over the last 3 years has been, we did the debt 2 years ago, spent a lot of money, paid cash for that. Year after, consolidated, built up some more funds. We're now looking at doing some technological business. The way we run our raffles, we're now changing the way we do those through technology, and we're going to do some more capex. The bar area needs to be fixed up, so that's our strategy for next year going on. Martha mentioned demographics. We're the same. We've been looking at the age of our members. We're certainly getting a lot more people coming into Greytown, and they're becoming club members with their families, which is great to see. We're also doing, the last thing, is a community focus. We talked to a lot of businesses in Greytown. We have town, brings a lot of people to the town. We're trying to piggyback off the back of that. The club is physically in the middle of town, which is where it all happens, and we're getting some good feedback from that. People are coming in again to the club where their families are using us. So we're in good heart, really going really well. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next.
Okay, good afternoon. Lick Thompson from Wairarapa Services Club. I'm the new president there this year. We've got a new committee. Our club, unfortunately, looked like the grandfather's place. So with a lot of work from the committee, the volunteers, we're just changing the face of it. We're changing the menu in the kitchen, giving the breweries a kick, which they needed to. All our beer system was that old, it was pathetic. So they're going to replace all that, change the upholstery in the place. We're going to chase this year. We're going for a different market. We've done things like we've put in change tables in the women's toilets. We've done them up, thrown all the old high chairs out. We're going for the working man, family men's class, and free meals for kids under 12, and it's working. It's working. The family's usually gone by 8 o'clock. I mean, it's just the old members. So we're going to convert. We're going to go down that track more and put more things into inviting all that working class family men to because today, to pay a babysitter today, it's $100. The 25 track that mum and dad and the kids into our club, I've just saved $100. And we've been doing it for the last 3 or 4 months, and it's going very good. So we're like, when I first took over the job, for the last probably 10 to 15 years, looking back at the books and talking to the accountant, we've been hanging on by our fingernails, like a lot of clubs throughout New Zealand. A lot of them have failed. So we've got that up. I've approached it the same way as I do a business. The new committee members are all business people, or business-minded people, and we've attacked it that way. And it's paying off. You know, we got substantial funds in the bank now. We've fixed our leaking roof for 10 or 15 years. We've upgraded our look at the club, and it's an ongoing thing. We've got the members coming in and helping, doing all sorts of stuff. We've repainted 3 or 4 rooms, and it's made a big difference. It doesn't look like a grandfather's place anymore, and it's attracting that working class men. So from that point of view, it's going very good, and the bottom line shows, which is, you know, we're a business. As much as we think that clubs and all the restaurants want to give back to the community, if we don't get that bottom line up, we can't give nothing. It's so important. Having to raise the price of the meals and kitchens and all of that, which is, as we all know, it's just difficult, but we just have to. Now the breweries are putting their price up. We're losing our bar manager, which is, you know, extremely difficult to get staff. But we've found the same thing as what you do. The last, probably, particularly the last 3 or 4 months, we seem to have more people wanting to work. I don't know what's happened. You know, you go back when I was vice president, hell, we couldn't get a bloody cleaner, let alone anything else. It was so hard. So from that point of view, it's very good. This rule thing, I'm not from the hospitality industry, I'm from the contracting industry. This rule thing with all this DIA, and the alcohol, and council, the kitchen, and that, and I've learned a lot working with their manager. What a flippin' fiasco! Oh, if you don't eat from the right side of the table, they'll bloody kick you out. It's just my God. Yeah, it does my head. It's just like, and these people, call them policemen, call them whatever you want, so they can come into your facility and find some little thing wrong. And next thing, the management's up for fines, clubs up for fines, and then they can take your license off to operate for Christ only knows how long. It's a good thing the government's cutting them out. There'll be lessening people around, which is quite good. And the other thing that I struggle with in our little town of Marsden is our biggest opposition out there is community trust. Mate, they're breaking the rules every particular clock. And you know, I've had a robust conversation with them and with their senior people in town. It's useless. It's like there's almost 2 sets of things, and I'm thinking, oh, it might be just this town, or it might be just me thinking like that. So I'll be very keen to catch up with other so yeah, so the future's looking for us hard, but we've got a really good committee of hard-working people and quite a good lot of volunteers. You know, like we've ordered a new van, that's a big step. That's 60K for a little stuff. That's we repaired our roof, so on and so forth. So yes, everything you touch today costs a flipping fortune. You know, yesterday it was $1.50, today, Jesus, it's $2. So the cheapest you ever do anything is today. And you're right, we're upgrading. I don't like pokies, I think they're great being poor. But we're upgrading all their pokies and putting in this jackpot system and all flashing lights and all the stuff that goes with it. But yeah, I see the numbers that go through, I see the people walk in and out. I don't agree with it, but when you're paddling down the river, you've got to use your paddle.
Yeah, dead right.
The note,
Thank you. Right, next.
I'm next.
Peter Elliott from Club Vista. On a positive note, in the last 9 years, we went from 1,500 members, and the membership at this moment in time is 3,672 for little old Parapran Beach. As you can do, it wasn't just me. Anzac Day was a boomer. We had Tim Costley, the MP, as our guest speaker. We had the US Marines Pacific Band from Hawaii. We brought them, they came over again this year. We also had on Anzac Day, we had the Marines. They played for the community across the road in Park, and then we brought them into the club and they played there. We had 100 soldiers from Wellington camp, which boosted things obviously, and we also had Fijians from Fiji. We had US Army that were being in Burnham and then had come up to Linton, and so they all came to the club, which was absolutely magnificent because we just had a booming day. Thanks to Clubs New Zealand for the words of encouragement about volunteers for Poppy Day and for Anzac Day, and I was the Poppy Day convener for the coast, and I know times are hard, but we've created a record at Parapran Beach, and we raised $15,000 for the Poppy Trust.
Thanks for that.
I'm Richard Herbert, the treasurer for the Tower RSA Club and Tower of Vic. I guess we're here today really to learn from other clubs from Clubs in New Zealand. So thank you for that opportunity. I'm not sure that we've been represented at this sort of forum previously, to my knowledge anyway. We're a pretty small club compared to most of you. And like many RSAs, I guess, coming from a survival mode into looking more positively to the future as to how we might develop into the 21st century, whilst struggling to achieve some building improvements on a shoestring budget. Things like that, and probably looking at removing our on-tap beer system, for example, because we're not putting through the volumes these days. But also interested in feedback from the Clubs New Zealand as to prescriptions for paying Sky is quite a big cost for us, and whether there's any group scheme available for that prescription. We've been working through various constitutional, various regulatory issues, rather like the Constitution. Last year we took the decision to remove the few gaming machines that we did have, relinquish those. But we did get a liquor license renewed last year, which was great. And we had a very successful Anzac Day last week, so yeah, we're just looking forward to how it might grow for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, and it's great to see a club of your size at a meeting like this. So well done. Welcome.
I'm Tammy, the very recent manager of the Living Club. I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've been here as well. So I'm learning a lot. But we're very similar. We've got building stuff to do, earthquake strengthening, we want to reduce budget. we're a tiny club by the sounds of everybody. Our membership's under 400. So we've got a long way to go. But we're still holding in there. We've just been in a battle for the last year with the DIA, with our gaming, to try and run it ourselves. Still not getting anywhere, but we shall see what happens. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for that, and welcome.
Good afternoon, people. Bruce Winter, President of Carterton. We once again are a very, very small club. Membership now of only just over the 300 mark. 12 months ago, we were in a position where we were about to close the doors. We called a special meeting, which we had 91 members turn up to, and the average age of those members was over 16. So we are a very old club, as is our club rooms. We're fortunate with Club Carterton that we are also the home to the Carterton RSA. We are also home to the Carterton Lions and Central Lions. So they give us an added income, which we're very appreciative of. We've got, as I say, 12 months ago, we almost closed our doors. We had a huge deficit, and I can say that at our end of the financial year, the new committee, this is my first year on as president, and with the wonderful work of our committee and our members' support, we have turned that deficit into a surplus. So that's been very, very, very much our concern. We like clubs. Our building is needing a re-roof. We have now got local businesses that are supporting us. They're providing free labour. Some are providing materials. So all these little costs of a small club, and especially with ours, we are different probably to most of you clubs. We don't have gaming. We don't have a TAB. We don't have Sky because of the limitations on the club. So we are reliant on our bar and our restaurant. We've just taken, well, when I say just, about 7 months ago, we had contractors in our kitchen that left us and moved down the road to another club. So we decided and took through a plunge and said, we will run the restaurant ourselves. Since we have taken over the restaurant, the club has gone forward. We've found there's a change in people's attitude. They don't go out now. They go out for a meal and have a drink with it. So our restaurant has boosted our bar takings as well because we're getting people coming in. We're having a little bit of a meeting with our local liquor licensing people because we're getting a lot of members or a lot of people coming in to our restaurant from off the street. We're encouraging them to become members. And through our restaurant, we're getting a lot more people through the club. So it is building, but it's been a very, very hard slog, and it's probably going to be another really benefiting from it. But as I say, very pleased for the help Lucy's given us. We've been new into it. We've run several times and probably silly little questions, but it was questions that we needed answers to. We've had a few little hiccups that we've managed to get over, but on the whole, our membership, as I say, was down to 175, and it was looking dire. So through the sponsorships of people, the support of people, we're now building it up. We had 21 in last month, and since that closed off at the end of the month, we're now up to another 15 waiting to come in on this latest intake. So we are building, but as I say, not having all these the gambling and not having Sky and everything is very hard because, as I say, we're reliant on our bar and on our restaurant. So to all you members here, thank you for allowing us to come along. It's our first one, and that's all.
Thank you for coming, Bruce. And just a question, Bruce, are you still singing karaoke or not?
Yes, and we have karaoke on the first night.
You're right, Dave.
You're here, Dave.
Listen. You're right. Christine Nealon, I'm the president of the Wellington Club, and I brought along two of our
staff here. So we have Jan, who's our office manager, and this gentleman here joined us about 5 months ago, Johan. He will give you a talk and tell you all the changes he's made to our club. One of the most positive changes was our little gin bar. So, Johan, off you go. Tell everyone.
Hello, everyone. I joined the Wellington Charter Club, who amalgamated a little while ago with the Gold Coast Club. The club's gone through a whole refurbishment, new carpets, new paint, not a new roof, but we're dancing.
It's still leaking.
It's still leaking, but we're dancing in the little spritzes of cool down weather that we're getting. Next year we'll be 50 years old. We're 49 this year. Beautiful club, beautiful older members, and we're trying to put a gear change from thriving mode, from surviving mode into thriving mode, and also to attract a lot more of the families who are coming up the Kapiti Coast now for weekends. We're a smaller club. We also have the issues with who moved Mylena. We have the issues of certain things that have been done for a certain amount of time, and please do not change anything. So having the capacity to change quite a few things in the past 5 months has just been the result of the club going through a very long period where we didn't have a good manager. We had one of our board members who was an acting manager. Was offered the position, everyone was so eager for a change, they just said yes to everything.
Lucky boy.
Very, very much. So a lot of the extremely and amazingly positive things that we've done is actually because we've got such a beautiful staff complement. Our staff has been carrying the club because presidents come and go, managers come and go, but it's the bar managers who stay, it's the hospitality staff that stay. Mostly they know much more about the club and the club membership. What I've found as the most incredible thing is our staff complement knows our members by name, knows their membership numbers by name. So when they come to the bar, it's not what's your membership number or scan your card, it's hey, Dave, 652, is it? And I come from a hospitality background. So what the board has decided to bring on board to the club is a bigger focus on hospitality. Maybe I don't bring along all the old habits of managers who've gone from different clubs, maybe some bad habits I don't have, but I have a lack of maybe club experience, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. We've just installed a brand new gym bar. Everyone was a bit surprised by that. It's brought a lot of new club membership in, because I'm dealing with a club that has the expectation that everything be cheap or free. Like many clubs do. Everything has to be cheap and free. We offer meals at the club with ribs, steak, and you won't believe that the club members complain and saying that's too expensive. Go home. You should increase your portions and decrease your prices. Then I go down the road to Long Beach, which is a bar at the beach. I find the same members paying up to $30 for a cocktail. I'm the type who goes up to the table and says, enjoying that $30 cocktail? I don't think we as a club should stand back to it. It's the pushback from members. My grandfather always said the empty buckets make the biggest noise. We've been building steadily, positively. We've just had our club membership renewal process where we've normally had about 200 to 300 that fall off every year. This year we've had less. We're probably about, Jan, on par. Almost. Yeah. We're almost on par. And that's brought a lot of activity. Maybe one little tip that I could give to the other clubs. In our constitution, we have a little provision for a provisional membership. If anyone comes into the club for $10, they can have a provisional membership, which gives them access to the club for a month. Now, when you have a restaurant and you would like to get members to sign up, you can easily have them sign up on the spot for $10, which will create a solution for with the DIA on the alcohol service. If you put that in your club membership, and mostly that little provision for that month does result in a membership sign up, a full membership sign up. So we're not a big club. We're not one of the big major players. We're just in a little corner of Waikanai. Slogan for a long time was the heart of the community. I think we've had a little bit of a disconnect with the community, unfortunately. One way of reconnecting with the community at the moment is I'm driving the support to different charities. We're nominating 12 charities for every month of the year. On our club nights, we will have those charities come and speak to the members. We will make sure that we drive support to those charities, make more information known about that. And I think that's the way to connect back to the community. As clubs, we've got so much more to offer, and our greatest value is our members. I think although a lot of us need to fix roofs and paint walls, etc., I think if we don't focus on our members as the biggest capital and be hospitable, we just want to be friendly. You come in the door. We don't want to be a club where the slogan when I got there was, I don't think we can do that, Johan. Oh, we shouldn't do that, Johan. When I found our staff meetings, 80% of it was health and safety meetings or points of order. We were so fear-mongered into, oh, we're going to get in trouble. Oh, we shouldn't do that. That the staff eventually said to me, Johan, but if we do that, people will have fun. I said, that's exactly the point. They said, all right then, we'll make a gear change. So thanks for the opportunity of having us here as well. Christina's come and visits on a Saturday, but that's also gone down a bit. Our alcohol consumption has gone up. At the club, we've seen about a 20% more.
Drinking gin, do you think?
Yeah, mostly. Not quite there. Our tap beer has gone up between 16 and 20%. We don't do increases in a single increment once a year. We do small little increments. We do 5 cents, 10 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents throughout the year, the way Cameron does it and Newell does it. And that just helps everyone's pocket, because if you've got to increase all of a sudden once a year at 70 cents or 80 cents on a beer, that's when you get the moaners and the groaners. So we just steadily take one step at a time, one day at a time. But thank you very much for having us.
Thanks a lot. Have we got one more?
Stand you still won't say anything. Wellington Vital Club, we're finding this year very tough, mainly because a lot of our infrastructure needs a lot of work done on it. And although the club is surviving perfectly well, we don't have that extra. On top of that, last year we were refused insurance, as were all yachting clubs within a specific group. We've had to go to London to get insurance. Couldn't get anyone within New Zealand. So we dropped all our outbuildings, which is boat sheds and stuff, just kept our club, and it's still doubled in cost. And it's looking like it's going to go up another 40% this year. It's getting to the stage that we actually are looking at whether we can afford to be insured. quite simply. There's an upside and downside for that, but that's part of it. The hospitality side of things is going as normal. We struggle, as do a lot of smaller clubs, boating clubs, that the guys are members so they can launch their boats. They don't come into the club, they don't eat, they don't drink. But we are quite lucky that we're in a very small seaside town. So we get all the locals come in because it's the equivalent of their local bar. So that sort of counteracts all the club members that you don't see, who are from all over Wellington. We have from Palmerston right through to the Wairarapa members because they come over specifically to launch their boats. So we have quite a large area and they're not going to have 3 years before they take the hill off to drive their boat home. So that side of it, we do struggle to get them in, but we're quite lucky to get the locals. So all in all, we're going okay. It's just that infrastructure and trying to do CapEx that we've got coming up on our duty, which is how you fund it. We're quite lucky. Reasonably affluent area, some of our members are funding it, and we will pay them back. And they will do that with no security and that under loan rate. So we're really lucky we've got that option. Otherwise, it was a case of, well, might have to wait a few years. So we've been quite lucky that quite a few of them have stood up and said, hey, well, you know, I don't need the money. So, yeah.
That's great.
One.
Thank you. That us? Yes. Right, general business. Is there any general business? Yep.
This TAB pod fiasco. That's what I'll call it. We knew nothing about it until we got a letter in the mail that they're going to remove our pod. They give us 3 months' notice. I contacted Clubs New Zealand and was told that we've been negotiating with them for a considerable amount of time. That was good. Could have told us. So, the young fella in Auckland, Todd, I told him, hey, I'll come up and see you, mate. This is not how you do it. So, in his defense, he got on an aeroplane and came down the next week and seen us. He couldn't tell me how much profit they were making or how much loss they were making out of their pod. He could rattle off all these other numbers. I offered to buy the pod and give you 10 grand a year and leave it there. And he still said bloody no. Then here we are a few months later, they bring it back to us, wants to sign this big contract to keep the pod in there. It gives them all the outs and us none. So we signed the contract, we reduced it down to 12 months. We're not very happy with the TAB. They offered us they were going to put up signage, they were going to do everything. You know what they've done? They've done nothing. Not a flipping thing. So until today, when we hear about this electronic stuff and all this kind of stuff going on, that's really good. I still did hear that they're going to remove some pods. Is this still correct?
No.
It's not.
No. No. They're not
That's a
removing
good sign.
Yeah.
All right. So, but it's we had to engage the TAB. All right. I was disappointed that information should have come from Clubs New Zealand, and it just didn't. We had to negotiate with them, and we did. I done a quick sums out of these 300 pod machines they took out of New Zealand on a small week of ours. That's 5k a week. You know, that was a bit under 2 mil a week in turnover. They lost 2 mil. How many months did they take these machines away? And then they brought them back, think it's going to be all rosy. We had to go through the software for our punters, doing it almost illegally, so we're told, to keep our punters there. It's quite an income for our club for those punters that come to gamble on the TAB. I hope this future thing is not going to be the same. All right, I had a look around. I reckon probably 40% of our TAB punters are not electronic at all. I will struggle to see how they're going to grasp this new electronic thing. Is the TAB going to make another mistake like they did when they took all the pod machines out and then realised they'd lost all this money and brought them back to us? I don't think the electronic thing is going to work with that 30 to 40% of customers. They're just not going to. They're not going to use it. Yeah, so that's my gripe.
Okay.
The question I've got to ask is, New Zealand Rugby Union 10 years ago dropped the JAB. They dropped them like a hot potato. They didn't want anything to do with them. I've been involved in North Carolina rugby for most of my life. 30% of clubs closed. 30 to 40% of the JAB players went to another code. We've got basketball, soccer, we've got all sorts of other codes. Now, 10 years later, they've realised, Jesus, we haven't got enough players, we haven't got enough supporters, and the New Zealand Rugby Union is rushing around trying to resurrect something that they've let go. We've got clubs throughout New Zealand closing every year. I don't know how many closed this year. I know probably 3 or 4. I can't see the Clubs New Zealand being proactive. They've got a lot of services and a lot of experience and expertise in their portfolio of coming to clubs and going, hey fellas, what can we do for you? You are waiting till the 11th hour. Well, the 11th hour is too late. When a club gets to the 11th hour, somebody's too late, mate. The horse is bolted. So my question is, I don't think your business plan to looking after clubs is very good. It's just like a bank. All right, you're waiting till it's too late. The 11th hour is too late. So going forward, what are you going to do for all these clubs to offer what services you currently have and expertise to help them out to do whatever part of it in their club is struggling? Because a lot of them, correct me if I'm wrong, haven't got a lot of business-minded people on their board, and so they just they mean well and they do the best they can, but I think they're struggling. And I just look in the Wairarapa and down in Canterbury and the clubs down there that struggle. So that's my question. Are you going to keep this business model going that you currently have, which I think is failing because you're losing clubs?
I'd love to answer this, but my voice is bugger.
You don't have to answer that today.
My comment, I think we have clubs are independently governed societies, and Clubs New Zealand has no right to walk into a club and tell you how to do a job. If we need to be invited into a club to give support and advice. And if we're invited into a club, we'll be in there and we will do exactly what you're saying and sit down and go through. Up until recently, we had Dave Tilley that was going into clubs doing his compliance checks. We will definitely be continuing to do that. It's then up to a club whether they take on board that advice, because I know Dave's been into several clubs on several occasions, and nothing changes.
Yeah, he's done that in my area a lot. It's already too late. The money's already gone. Like Lucy just said, we can't go and kick the door and say, hey, we heard that your club's going down the tube. What do you want us to do? There's nothing wrong with our business plan.
In your defence, I've been to a number of these things and to a couple of conferences, and the message that I've always got from the main table is, if you are struggling or if you need help,
Exactly.
Yeah. I've always picked up on that everything I've ever been to.
Yeah. And your comments on the TAB, yours is the only club I've ever heard of that isn't getting a weekly printout telling you what your figures are. Every Monday you get a printout, and if you are getting a commission, on the Tuesday you get another printout telling you what the commission is. And the other thing is, I've never heard of a club having a pod put back in once it's been taken out. So well done on getting it back. It takes big balls to do that. Really respect you for doing that. But all the pods that went out weren't put in other venues. They were used as parts, which is why Petone is investing 25 million to replace all these machines that they've got.
Okay, thanks, Terry. Any more general business? No? Okay. Selecting a host club for the next meeting. Would you like to do that here And when would you like it, or are you quite happy with the format we've got in such a big area of live streaming it to clubs that can't make it? Can you give me some feedback on that? Would you like 2 meetings a year or just one a year like we've done the last 2 years? Any comments?
I would like 2 meetings.
Yeah.
2 meetings a year?
I think we would too. I mean, we only stopped that because of COVID, wasn't it? Really?
Basically, yeah.
We were doing it quarterly for 3 months, but then we changed to 6, and now 1, I think 2 is probably the number.
Okay.
I honestly think, Dave, that this is fantastic today, seeing so many people here from so many different clubs. And definitely we need them more frequently so these people who are from the smaller clubs can network today after the meeting, talk to each other. If you're getting rid of old stuff out of your clubs, offer it to the other clubs. You know, we have to support each other in this room. You know, we're only caretakers for our clubs. We won't be there forever. We have to do the best job for our clubs we can.
Yeah.
And you know, it's important to have these meetings.
Okay, so shall we say sometime in November? Would that suit? A date to be confirmed later on. So any club like to put their hand up to host the next meeting?
Yeah, well, we will, Dave. I think we mentioned in the last minutes that so Upper Hutt, unless there is someone that wants to go up to the Wairarapa or someone wants to go up the coast, rather than the valley.
Yeah, quite happy with Upper Hutt?
Yeah, if we stay in the valley, we could get Chris back again and multiple things that haven't happened.
Good idea.
Progress report, yeah.
Just pointing that, you're changing from a year to 6 months. Did you want to move and second that? Or just do it?
No, we'll just do it. I mean, it doesn't need to be a formal motion. It's just to ask you, and you're happy with two a year. So, all right. So November, the date to be advised, and the guest speaker is automatically going to be Chris Bishop.
So we try and get
And Chris Hopkins as well.
We've had him.
as if he still is.
And then set up a boxing ring in the middle of the day. Okay, very much for your attendance. It's awesome to see so many people here, and some of the smaller clubs and clubs that haven't been here before. And I declare the meeting closed at 1:21 and lunch in.
For those who would like to stay for lunch, I've put some tables aside downstairs. Feel free to have a drink as well if you're not staying for lunch but want to head off. All welcome.
Okay. Thank you.